Okay. Right. Wait. So let me check this room. Okay. So who? Alif Nur Farida. I should call the host. I mean, it should be the host, right? To make.
I guess.
Yes, I think the host should make the presenters the co-host. It.
Okay, I get it.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, you may start now, Bu Alif.
Okay, good morning, Bapak Ibu. Today I am with Ms. Mutiara Nurjana Mutiara. We're going to present the result of our research this year with Ibu Uli and Bapak Wawan about the rhetorical structure of thesis introduction chapters. Should I slideshow? Okay. So this is, we're going to present a part, so it's only a part of our research. We did a study on the rhetorical structure of thesis introduction chapters, and what we are going to present today is the ones that, the introduction chapters written by the English native speakers. Okay. Okay, so our research is a genre analysis on the structural patterns or the organization of the text, specifically on the thesis introduction chapters written by the English native speakers, and it's limited to the field of TESOL and applied linguistics. As we know that the introduction chapter is a very important part of an article and also a thesis because it provides a key role to the quality of the study. Because in that part, the writers will give you information why their study is important. And in that part, the writer should be able to attract the reader's attention by establishing territory, a niche, and also occupying the niche. And we hope that our study contributes to the existing studies. We know that there are many studies on the rhetorical structures of thesis introduction chapters, and we want to contribute more on the conventional way how the native speakers of English establish their thesis introduction chapters. And we hope that our finding will be the references of in writing a thesis introduction chapters for the EFL novice writers. Okay, so this is one of our research question, and in this paper, we're going to talk about how the rhetorical structures constructed in the thesis introduction chapters written by native speakers of English in the field of TESOL and applied linguistics, and we will see how the moves and the steps constructed in that part. So this is the theoretical framework that we are using. We do genre analysis using proposed by Swales, that is CARS, create a research space model, and we did study on the 5 introduction chapters in the field of TESOL and applied linguistics. So yeah, as I mentioned before, that we analyzed 5 introduction chapters from 5 theses written by 5 master's degree students in applied linguistics from 5 foreign universities. The text, the chapters were selected purposefully because yeah, we know we have like limited access to the online version, the full online version of the thesis. We limit the scope to the applied linguistic or TESOL only because 4 of us are in the English department, so we want to give more information to our students later related to how to write the rhetorical structures. I mean, like how to write the introduction part of their article later. And we actually compare the introduction chapters written by the native speakers to the non-native speakers. But in this paper, we are describing how the native speakers write their introduction part, because we assume that the English native speakers will write better than the non-native speakers. Okay, so we analyze the text using the revised version of CARS model, and we determine the subunits of the moves and steps by exploring the communicative function in the text segment. And we also did the intercoder reliability to identify the moves, and we identified the overall rhetorical structures. And the finding and the discussion related to the move and the steps that the native speakers of English write the introduction chapters will be delivered by my partner, Miss Nurjana Mutiara. Okay, Miss Nurjana, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Bu Ali, for the time. And now in findings and discussion, we come up with three main findings. The first one is that each introduction chapter displayed a generic pattern comprising a series of moves and steps. Then there are three major moves in the introduction chapter, which performs distinctive communicative functions. And there are 11 steps out of 17 steps suggested in modified Swales-Cars model. Next, Bu Alif. Yeah. Okay, for the first point, we are discussing moves in thesis introduction chapters written by native speakers. And here we can see in the table that there are three moves as suggested in the modified Swales-Cars model. They are move 1, establishing a territory, move 2, establishing a niche, and move 3, occupying the niche. And then this finding indicated that English native speakers followed general patterns in terms of the moves in developing thesis introduction chapters based on the existing theory. Okay, the next point is steps in thesis introduction chapters. We can see here that English native speakers use 11 steps out of 17 steps as suggested in modified Swales-Cars model. So not all steps are used here. Next. Okay. Okay, in move one, establishing a territory allows thesis writers to introduce the research topic in general and to indicate that the topic is interesting, relevant, important, and significant. In move one, there is a tendency that English native speakers did not provide the results of previous studies. Instead, they dominantly used step one, which is claiming centrality, and step three, defining terms. And step one was used by the writers to ensure readers that the research topic is worth investigating. And in order to elaborate the topic, English native speakers provided a number of relevant definitions for the readers through step three. Next, Bu Ali. So here are the examples of move one for step one and step three. In step one, or claiming centrality, we can see that the statistical evidence of failing reading instruction within the public education system of the United States is overwhelming. Okay, so the writer mentioned the word overwhelming and also complicate the situation. This is to indicate that the research is urgent and significant. And then step three, defining terms. Here, the thesis writer defined videos. Okay, next. Besides step three and step one and step three, step two, or making topic generalizations, was used to realize move one as much as 20%. So this is the example. Since then, pupils all over the world. So the writer mentioned all over the world to show that or to generalize the topic. Okay, this study found a newly identified step in move one, and we categorize it as telling personal experience. For example, we found telling personal experience in two theses. Example one, when I first read this quote, it made me think back to years of schooling. So the writer told his personal experience, and in example two, the choice of the topic was inspired by the researcher's personal interest.
Excuse me, Ms. Nurjana, maybe you can proceed to
Sorry.
the conclusion because we ran out of time for the first presenter.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, wait. Sorry. This one?
Yeah.
Conclusion.
So, in general, the findings of this study generally seem to indicate that the rhetorical structure of the thesis introduction chapters is to some extent dependent on the cultural context in which it is written. And the findings of this study are partly congruent with modified Swale Stars model. Next, to Alif. And then we come up with a conclusion related to application to language pedagogy. The findings of this study will propose practical implications for teaching English language learners or novice writers in Indonesia or in settings with similar context on how to compose an introduction chapter.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
You want to read it?
Next.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
time is up for first presenter. I'm so sorry. Yes, thank you. That was a very wonderful presentation, especially because it has the pedagogical implication for the teaching of academic writing. Thank you, Bu Alif and Ms. Nurjana for the representative of Group 1. I'm so sorry. Yes, the topic is interesting. It seems that we want to have more discussion, but we are limited by the time. So let's now proceed to the second group of the presenter. That is Buleni and et al. I'm sure that Buleni will be the presenter representing the group 2 of the presenters today. Are you ready, Buleni, for the presentation?
Okay. Yes, Bu Yusita, I'm ready.
Okay, so you may start now and you have 10 minutes to present your material.
Okay.
Time is
Thank
yours.
you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'd like to present my presentation, my paper.
I couldn't hear this the voice, please.
Hello, Buleni? Are you with us?
I couldn't hear it, Bu Yusnita.
Yeah, I think there is trouble with the connection or the internet or the computer, or because I checked Buleni's microphone is active, the video is also active, but we couldn't hear Buleni's voice. Hello, Buleni? Are you there? Are you with us? Hello? Hello? Oh, okay. Okay, right. Okay, so I think what's that? To make the time effective for the presentation of this second breakout room, I think we can, what's that, like decline Buleni's turn for the presentation at this time, and we go on to the next presenter is Ibu Niwayan Mira Sustanti. Ryan, I think it's time for you to prepare your presentation. Well, I'm
Okay.
contacting Ibu Leni. Yeah, let me contact Bu Leni first.
Oh iya.
So, right, Ibu Niwayan Mira Susanti, I think you can, yes, I think you can take Buleni's turn
Oh my
for you to
God.
present your
I'm
material
so sorry,
because
Ibu
Buleni, yeah, okay, don't worry, later on when we still have time for the presentation, then we will
Okay,
give Buleni
yeah,
another chance for her
right.
to
So
present.
hopefully
Right.
later on Ibu Leni will have a very smooth presentation.
Yeah.
So mohon maaf Ibu Leni ya, saya mendahului mempresentasikan. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So good morning Bapak Ibu, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the opportunities. I would like to present our team research finding. So my name is Niwayan Mira Susanti, and along with my team, we're going to talk about the research we done in Mataram University in English department. So the sorry oh I cannot okay, right. Oh, yeah. So the title is analysis of English students' receptive skills in correlation with learners' belief. So my teammates Pak Sri Bagus, Lalu Nirtaat, Husnul Lail, and Rizky Kurniawan Husni. So before we start with the uh, article, a little bit about about the key terms. Receptive skills here that we are talking about are reading and listening skills. And then SLA, I know that there are some definition. Some people think that SLA is the second language, which plays a very important role in a country like Singapore or maybe the Philippines. But here, SLA that we mean is all languages other than the local and national language, and particularly in this case is English. And also we use questionnaire that we adapted from Spada and Lightbound. All right. The reason why we are interested in doing this research is that we like to investigate factors that have contributed to a language learner successfully in attaining a second language. It has always been very intriguing for decades, as we can read some research done by Spada and Lightbound, Bernard, Ariogo, et al., Alanen, and Piers. And as teacher or language practitioners, we realize that there are some psychological factors such as motivation, learner self-esteem and anxiety, economic and social background, expectancy, goals, and self-attitude that play important roles in shaping the learner's conception towards their learning. All right. So what are learners' beliefs? So believe in short are the things that make sense for the students. So it is a way to make sense of the world around them. Basically, it is an internal, autonomous property of the minds of the students about their learning. So why we correlate? Is there any correlation between popular beliefs and second language learner success here? Um, Second language learners usually develop some beliefs or conception prior and or during their learning target language, for example, English. They follow them faithfully, and during a course of time, these beliefs turned out to be helpful in building their language skills and knowledge. So the research shows, like the research done by Alanan, Arago, and Bernard discovered that there is a positive correlation between these beliefs and the students' language development. However, there are also some research that say that some of these beliefs are not true, yeah, and are actually misleading students in their learning. So instead of saying that these are popular belief, they said that this is some kind of myth that the students should not follow in their learning. So what we do is we involve 70 students of semester 6 in English department. We use population sampling, which we took all our students in semester 6, and then we distributed questionnaire which we adapted from, I'm sorry, Lightbound and Spada, and then we matched the documents related to their reading and listening scores with their responses to the questionnaire. Right. So this is some questionnaire. Only a few questionnaire items of the questionnaire that we adapted from Spada and Lagpam. So we have number one, like languages are learned mainly through imitation. Number two, parents usually correct their children when they make grammatical mistakes, and so on. And then we ask our student to give some response to it. So whether they found that this beliefs are helpful in their studying, or whether they feel that they're not sure about it, or they believe that it is not helpful for them. So the findings of our research shows that 50 out of 70 students, so around 71% of the total respondents, found that popular beliefs in SLA are helpful in their studies. Then, and this is also corresponds well with their reading and listening scores from the previous semester. So what we consider well here, the students get A, B plus, and B respectively. While the rest of the participants have different approach towards their learning, and hence they did not believe in the popular beliefs, but were practicing different strategies. So if I can uh, present it in the pie chart. So the green one represents students that find the popular belief helpful for their studies, while these 18 students here, the red one, find that they are not sure about it, and the rest, the two students, feel that the popular belief did not do any benefit for them in studying English. So when we compare between the literacy skills and the questionnaire result, we found that this is the what the reading and the questionnaire. So if you see 50 respondents that found them the popular beliefs are helpful, they have a very good result also for their reading. So here they got like A or B plus or B. So more than 45 students got that in reading, and then also in their listening, about 40 students got very good result also. And then we present this one, the rest of the group, 20 students. So they also get very good score, Bapak Ibu. So if you see the reading and also the listening also get very good score, but they did not follow the conventional or the traditional popular beliefs that we asked them to give response to. So in conclusion, Bapak Ibu, so we found that the popular belief in SLA helps students greatly in learning a second language, because there are more than 70% of the respondents uh, respond well. They found that the popular beliefs very helpful in their language skills and knowledge development. While the other, however, this is very interesting because the 20 respondents also scored very well in their receptive skills, but they do not follow the popular beliefs. So for the our suggestion is for the further research, it's going to be worthwhile looking at these 29 respondents and probably investigate further about different approach that they do in learning English. Right. So I think that's the end of our presentation, Bapak Ibu. Thank you very much for your time and for the time being. Thank you, Matur Nuwun, Matur Tampiasih.
Yeah.
So I will return to Ibu Justina.
Yeah, okay. Sami-sami Ibu Niwayan Wirasusanti. Just
Thank
about
you,
the
Ibu.
time, yeah, to finish your presentation. And again, yes, we have many surprises with dealing with the SLA research, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank
Yes.
you. We will go later, we will discuss about this in the question and answer session. Okay,
Thank you, Bu
ladies and
Yusnita.
gentlemen, the participants and presenters of this breakout room 2. Now we move on to the next presenter. Let me check whether Buleni is ready to present her presentation right now or not. Buleni, are you with us? Are you there? Can you hear my voice? Hello? Okay, let me help you to unmute. Okay, unmute the microphone, please. Can you? Buleni? Okay. Say something, please. Oh, okay. It seems that there is a problem with your microphone, Buleni. We cannot hear your voice. Yes, I'm so sorry. We cannot hear your voice. So maybe for the third turn for the presentation, I will give to the. Oh, okay. Can you? Okay, say something, please, Buleni. Hello.
Hello.
Your voice is back now. Alhamdulillah. Okay, your voice is back now. Yes. So are you ready for the presentation?
Yes. I think I'm ready.
Yeah.
Okay, I will share the screen first.
Yeah. Okay, you have 10 minutes to do that. Okay, now time is yours. Okay, good luck.
Okay, thank you. Well, glad to be back again because there's trouble for the microphone. Okay, I will continue my presentation about the students' perception toward learning in public speaking class. Yeah. Uh, this is my presentation highlights about the background of study, review of literature, research method, and findings and the conclusion. Okay, and then this is the background of study, yeah, because in teaching English at university level, in the 21st century era, needs to be more creative and innovative. So the teacher need to use sophisticated technology. In public speaking class, the students not only learn how to communicate each other in the classroom, but they need to share their idea also, and they need to practice in the real world. And one of the using technology in the blended learning, one of its type is called flipped classroom model. Okay. Blended learning is already known in 2000. There are some scholars who already use flipped learning. Yeah, Gazer, Bergman and Sam, Fisher, Rose, and Rismandel. And reason I choose the topic because to survive in the digital era, the lecturers need a new learning model to be implemented in public speaking class and to avoid students' boredom. The second, because the students are not often exposed to the target language, so this may affect our significance leads to disability and low achievement acquiring a target language. In the flipped classroom, the students got the material first, yeah, and then they read material first at home, and they practice in a classroom more often. So they do get more exposed in target language at their home. And the third, it gives more time for students to learn material at home and more exercise in class. Okay, and the gap, what is the different or the novelty of this research? There are some scholars who already use a flipped classroom model in reading, in mathematics, in nurse, and another science, but rarely used in the language classroom, especially in speaking class. Okay, and this study is conducted to research a flipped classroom model in public speaking class at university level, especially at the third semester of English department. Okay, there is only one research question. What are students' perception toward flipped classroom model in public speaking class? Yeah, and then here are some review of literatures, public speaking. This is the Tolman who defined the public speaking. Public speaking is commonly understood as a formal, face-to-face talking of single person to the listener, and uh, the main of the goal of public speaking is to persuade the audience. And also the flipped classroom model, it was proposed by Bergman and Sams in 2012 in the mathematics class. Yeah, uh, this is the opposite teaching model from the traditional model into the flipped model, whereas the teacher give the material first to the student 2 days or 3 days before. It can be a video recording or audio recording about the material. The source can be from YouTube, or you can record it your own video for the student. The research method, I used the qualitative research case study, and the data collection uses a questionnaire. It was adopted from Al-Zaraideh 2019. And the data analysis is by using the questionnaire percentage by Hodge and Lorenzetto 1991. And finding and the discussion, it's assume that based on the student feedback and having more time to strategize on optimizing students' learning and continue with the flipped classroom model. And there is a positive response from the student when the lecturer use flipped classroom model, and it is recommended to practitioner or educator or the lecturer to use a flipped classroom model in a public speaking class. Okay, and conclusion is the conclusions are flipped classroom is an innovative strategy to use in higher education. Technology in education can be used as an approach within the 21st century, and the student responds positively when the lecturer used flipped classroom model. They said that they were more prepared to practice in class because they have more time to rehearse or to read the material in the classroom. Okay, I think that's all for the presentation. Maybe I'll give back to Ibu Yusnita.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Leni. That was such a wonderful presentations about the students' perception on flipped learning. Maybe you can just stop sharing, please.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Right, okay. And now we come to the last presentations of today's session this morning session for pre-calcul 2. And the presentation will be delivered by Bapak Widianto. Pak Widianto is around. I think he is ready. Are you ready, Pak Widi?
Inshallah, Bu.
Okay, right. You have 10 minutes to deliver your presentation and it starts now. Okay, please, Pak Widi.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning, Bapak Ibu. Let me introduce myself. My name is Widianto from UNES. I'd like to present the result of my research. It is still deals with introductory chapter as what is done by Bu Alif, Bu Wuli, and Pak Wawan. But I'd like to analyze the local products. Yeah. Well, Bu Alif, Bu Wuli, and Pak Wawan analyze text from other university, but I try to use my own students that develop their thesis with me. Yeah. Usually, I do the analysis from interpersonal meaning. Okay, for your information, that I am one of a researcher using usually SFL background, SFL theory, and for this, I'd like to analyze the discourse flow of argument in introductory chapter of undergraduate student thesis. Yeah. Okay, why I was interested in this topic. First of all, because while I'm also doing my research since years before in academic writing, but especially when after I did my master and my doctoral degree, I have been so involved in academic writing. Well, I'm following Highland saying that university are about writing, about academic writing. Academic writing is about how we uh, make argument. This is the thing that argument, academic writing, and the thing all that we have done in that we have that we do in university linked to each together. Yeah. Okay, the quality of argument in academic writing in Indonesia still need improvement. This is based on some research that I read from, it's just to mention some from Adnan, Dubhari, Mirayuni, and some other, that they focus on a certain topic and certain area and from certain theories. But in general, that academic writing, as also my own experience with my students, they still have problems, especially when they are dealing with developing argument. This argument, especially in my research, is viewed from the theory of periodicity. I'd like to see how how students organize the text as a kind of hierarchy of meaning to make the flow of the discourse run smoothly. Okay, this is based on Holiday, and then. Also, there's a problem when, especially in writing in general in Indonesia, that it has been so problematic until about 2000 something, yeah, when we implement what's so called young based education. Yeah, the result in 2015, Bu Emi and Pak Hamid says that writing skill improve as a result of this pedagogy. And then the quality of argument, one of the two of the discussion that I usually do is about how to make the text engaging, how to develop a sound argument, especially with engaging language. This is the first analysis. And the second one, how students are able to arrange message based on the importance. This is based on periodicity. And for this moment, I'd like to discuss from periodicity. Yeah, how the genre, in this case, the introductory chapter is a part of a bigger genre or macro genre of a thesis. So introductory chapter is seen to be one genre within a bigger genre, the thesis. And also we can go down to section, subsection, up to the maybe clause and clause complexes. Yeah. And then in the analysis, stack is an instance of a genre, as Michael, as I said, that one chapter is part of the bigger genre or macro genre. This is the thesis, and especially in our in my university, we still use what's called a traditional type of text arrangement, starting from introduction, and then literature review, methodology, result and discussion, and conclusion. So it seems that the whole body of thesis in the library, starting from the starting of the university, maybe use this similar type of organization. Okay, and then according to Montiel, a complex its thesis is a complex institutionalized form of social practices. So why introduction is so interesting, just like what Bu Alif said, it is because 1/3 of the thesis is in introduction. Yeah, when I was doing my research, one of my supervisors, Professor Devianga, said that if you do the if you are successful in making the introductory chapter, so you have had 1/3 of your thesis, and the introductory chapter is one of the texts which is done in the first and in the last of the whole thesis development. Okay. Yeah, and then in this study, its text is analyzed as micro genre to see how each introductory chapter among the 5 that I did. I sorry, I forgot to say that I analyzed 5 also, 5, but from Indonesian University text to see how this introductory text is seen to be one text to developed by some micro genre. So from this chapter, it's divided into the section, subsection up to the clause complexes.
Excuse me, Pak Widi, I would like to remind you that you still have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu. Yeah. As I said, this is the one that Dong says that about the type of organization of a thesis that we are using still in our university, starting from the introduction, literature review, methodology, result, and discussion and conclusion. And this is also the one that I said in my analysis, that they explore the way meaning are hierarchically organized across the level of argument. The analysis at the level of the whole thesis, sorry, not dissertation, but thesis, and then each chapter up to the section, go down to more specific. Yeah. And then the theme is analyzed. The theme in the analyzed text are developed in a complex way. This is the result. So among the 5 introductory texts that I analyzed, all employ similar, or I can say the same, almost the same way of having the section. Yeah, because it is stated in the guidance of the guidelines for writing thesis. In the first introductory, and then background of the study, and then reason for choosing the topic, and then research question, and up to the organization of the chapters. This is very general in our department. In the macro level, however, all the analyst text, so sorry, in the macro level, so it's similar one, but in the chapter, within the chapter section up to the subsection, but in the lower level, the paragraph up to the clause complex, how to develop the paragraph, the differences appear to be more significant. One thing that very interesting is that they know how to develop paragraph. Students, when I ask, do you know how to develop the paragraph? Yes, we start from topic sentence, and then followed by major supporting sentences, and then for each major supporting sentence may be followed by some minor supporting sentences. They know how to do it, but when I ask, what about this? What was your writing? Yeah, they usually write in a very free way, and they forget how to do as what they know how to do it. I mean, what they do is not what they know how to do it. The writing is not arranged as what's starting from the topic sentence and major supporting sentences and minor supporting sentences. This is the finding. And then when we do more analysis in other research, the language, especially in the interpersonal language, they are so descriptive. There is no engagement. There is no negotiation of meaning. Yeah. So when they cite somebody, I mean, when students cite somebody, they do it for the purpose of supporting their argument, or yeah, I think mostly they cite others. I mean, other writers or other proponents or other people just to support their argument. But it's good. At least they do not say that it is my claim or this is not my argument. But they realize that somebody else have done this argument, so I have to cite them without any engagement, without any negotiation. How this is right or wrong, or how we can improve this argument. And then in the lower level, in the yeah, yeah, okay. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, 1 minute left, Pak Widi. Maybe you
Oh,
can
yeah,
go
sorry.
to the
To
conclusion.
summarize. Yeah. So in the summary, I can say that this is still I'm doing the research that I tried them to realize what they know to what they do, so that they have to write the text as what they do, and so I am trying to make them realize that they have to use engaging language. They have to argue of a certain topic when they are not in line or they are not agree with. So do not just make them as supporting what is it for their argument. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Pak Widi. It's just about the time, 10 minutes. Yes, sharp, you finish your presentation. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the presentation from all the presenters of this breakout room 2 in this early morning session. Now we come to the question and answer session. I would like to invite participants in this room to have response, feedback, comment, or maybe question, clarification to all the presenters. For your information, this morning presentation can be divided into 2 big groups. The first one is about the rhetoric, about the written text analysis dealing with the academic writing presented by Bu Alif and Pak Widi. And then the second group or the second type of the presentation in this morning session is about the students' belief. One deals with student belief of in literacy, the receptive skills by Buni Wayan Mira Susanti, and another one is the students' perception about the flip learning. Okay, without further ado, please participants, if you have question, comments, feedback, clarification, maybe. Yes. Okay.
Can I have a question, Bu?
Can I start?
Oh yes, please, Pak Wawan Gunawan. Okay. Later on we have many, yes, but now please Pak Wawan Gunawan, you can have your question. Yes, please.
Thank you, Ibu Yuni. I'm interested in a study by Pak Widianto. It's interesting to see how the students structure the information, and at the same time how the students put an engagement in the research paper. First, I would like to know how you identify the engagement from the students' discourse or words, and then do you think the student engagement in the thesis, in the scripts or thesis introduction chapter?
Yeah, scripts actually, Pawan.
Yeah.
Great.
Is it contradictory, Pawidu, with the conventional genre? So, for example, the conventional genre of thesis introduction should start with the, for example, thesis statement, significance, research questions, and then gap, for example. And how did the students engage with the conventional genre of the thesis? Thank you.
Okay, right. Thank you, Pak Wawan. Very wonderful question. And Pak Widi, okay, you may answer the question right away.
Okay. Yeah, Pak Wawan, thank you for your very, very challenging questions, actually. Yeah, as I said, Pak Wawan, actually, I have research divided into I think three things. Yeah, first is seeing students' engagement. I'm using the theory of appraisal system by Martin and White, and then for this I use Holiday and for today's presentation. Actually, I'm focusing on how they organize text from the micro genre, meso to micro genre actually, to the micro. So it deals with the information flow. As I said that in the macro level, because of the guidance, the guidelines of how to write the text, they are similar. As I said, that they use a traditional way of organizing thesis. But when we come up to the paragraph, and we come up even to the clause and clause complexes, the differences appear to be very significant, especially the one that I also consult with Bu Wuli, because Bu Wuli is the expert in thematic organization. Uh, Sometimes students just write and write without thinking of the theme rhyme, without thinking of how to develop what is it, a good text that reader can follow the flow of the discourse, or to follow the flow of the information. And this is problematic because they just write for the writers, not write for the readers. This is the problem actually. Yeah, they don't consider reader as somebody that they have to think about in writing their text. Okay, and then the second question about engaging language. I'm using appraisal. I actually in engagement system. I'm also of course I start with attitude, but attitude is not the main point, but the engagement as my analysis. And this is very interesting actually, because as I said it, they try to find somebody else writing to support their argument only. It's never. I think it's in line from it is in line with some research done by people in Hong Kong University, for example, that saying that Eastern people try not to certain other faces. Yeah, so something like they don't want to make them ashamed or something. That they just okay. I take it, though sometimes I do not agree with, but I take it to support my argument. This is what I can say, Pak Awan. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Yusni.
Yeah, Pak Wawan and Pak Widi, I think both of you still have many to discuss, but because of the time, maybe you can continue the discussion after this session.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we
you.
still have like 3 minutes. Let's make this time effective. I see some of the participants
Yeah,
are unmuting the. Yeah, okay. Who? Wayan? Yes.
Yes, thank you, Ibu Yus. May I ask question to Ibu Leni Irianti?
Oh, yeah. Okay, please do. So,
Halo Ibu Leni, I'm really interested in the topic. So you use flipped classroom model
Yes.
for speaking, yeah?
Yeah.
So from my experience teaching speaking classes, the students always say that public speaking is the scariest.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yes.
always scared.
Yes.
So they
They
whenever
think like that.
yeah, right. So this is very interesting, Ibu Leni. So when yeah, so usually like yeah, Pak Widi said probably this is related to our culture. So our
Yeah.
students feel a bit threatened, yeah, if they have to go upstairs and do some public speaking. So do you think, Ibu Leni, this flipped classroom model in speaking have a positive effect to their self confidence?
Yes, I think so because in Flip Classroom, for this semester, I use Flip in public speaking. Yeah, usually, uh, they can what is it? They can record their speech first, yeah, and then they watch again, and then if there's something problem or there's something wrong, they can record it again. So I think that's what is it? It can make the student more comfortable because they get
Yeah.
more preparation for their performance in front of the class. Even today, we have an online class, yeah, but they still have what is it, lack of confidence. But when I use this, please read more, and then you can practice at home, and then you can record it, your speech, and then if there's something wrong, you can re-record it again. And so far they got no problem. Usually I use a Flipgrid, the application of Flipgrid, so they can watch, and there's also a comment from the other, and then they can record again to fix the what is it, the trouble or the mistake, like that,
I
Bu.
see. Thank you, Ibu Leni.
Welcome.
Silakan Ibu Yus.
Yeah, okay, Bu Wayan, Bu Leni, and all the participants
Okay.
in this breakout room too. I think the discussion is getting hotter. Yes, Pak Widi, want to say something?
Just Bu Alif, Pak Wawan, and Bu siapa tadi ya? You are saying about the Swales something, yeah, but I think in 1994, 1990 is not something new because Swales has 2012 or 2015. I just please keep in your mind and please check with this one.
Yeah, okay,
Because
thank
you
you,
said
Pak
it is
Widi.
Thank you,
yeah.
Pak.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Pak Widi, and I'm so sorry, all the participants. I know that the discussion is getting hotter. Even it seems like we just started the discussion, but we really need to have to stop this parallel session because we
Okay.
have to go to the next section for the parallel session of this breakout room. And who knows, some of the participants who are here want to change or shift to another parallel session. And thank you very much for the participation, for the active was the discussion. Now I have to close the session and thank you all. If you want to stay in this room, please stay. But if you want to switch to another parallel session, you may go to the main room and then rename your account. Later on, the host will take you or assign you to the room that you will choose. Okay, thank you very much once again. Good morning.
Thank you, Bu
Morning.
Yus.
Morning.
Thank you,
Yes.
everyone. Okay.
Halo Mbak Yuni. Mbak Yuni, saya ingin sekali menonton presentasinya Mbak Yuni, tapi saya jadi co-presenter di ruang sebelah Mbak Yu.
Oh iya, dua
Nggih,
ya.
nggih. Mohon
Good luck
maaf
for
Mbak
the
Yuni.
presentation.
Iya, saya pikir saya bisa pergi ke Semarang ya ketemu Mbak Yuni ya.
Iya, siap jemput loh.
Iya Mbak Yu.
Siap jemput, siap ngajak
Iya.
jalan-jalan.
Yeah,
Next
next time Mbak
ya,
Yu.
insya Allah ya.
Ya. Good luck Mbak Yu. Semoga
Thank you,
sukses presentasinya.
thank you for joining LTLT.
Oh, sama-sama. Senang sekali nih Mbak Yu. Mari.
Ya, good luck juga for next presentation, Mbak Mira.
Yes, thank you. You too, Mbak Yuni.
Good morning. Oh, okay. I think everyone here are ladies. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, Bu Alif.
Good morning, Ibu.
Good morning.
Okay, we are
Morning, Bu Ali.
10:10. Okay, when the schedule for us to start the parallel session 3. Before we start, I would like to check whether the presenters for the parallel sessions are already here or not. Okay, the first group is from Bu Sriwayuni and Bu Vimadana Sofri.
Yeah, present, ma'am.
Are you here alone or with Bu Vimadana, ma'am?
Alone.
Alone,
Yeah.
okay. The next group will be Ibu Sundari. Are you here already?
Yes, I'm here, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, I am here.
okay. And the next one is Ibu Yusnita Silvianingrum. Are you here, Bu Yusnita? Yes.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, Bu Alif.
The next one is Ibu Debbie Luriawati Naryatmojo, Ibu Santi, and Bapak Diamond. Are they here? I don't think they are here. Okay, because it's already 10:10. Maybe we can start our session. We will have a presentation first. Each presenters will have 10 to 15 minutes. And he will have the question and answer session in the end of this session. Okay, the first chance will be given to the first group, Ibu Sriwayuni, who will present her paper entitled Technology-Based Instruction During the Pandemic, the English Teachers' Perceptions of the Barriers. Okay. Ibu Yuni, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Ibu Alif, for moderating this session. So let me share screen.
Can you do that, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The honorable audience and listeners, in this occasion, allow me to present my paper entitled Technology-Based Instruction During the Pandemic, the English Teachers' Perceptions of the Barriers. Well, this is the outline of my presentation containing introduction, literature reviews, methodology findings, and conclusions. And let me begin with the background of the study. Well, as we all feel, I think that the COVID-19 pandemic has caused chaotic situations in all dimensions of human life, commerce, economy, health, and also no wonder education worldwide, including in Indonesia. And in the education context, most countries have agreed to temporarily close face-to-face instructional activities in all educational institution levels. And learning has not stopped. It is now still taking place online, considering that schools also provide remote schooling policies and also facilities. And in the Indonesian context, the Ministry of Education and Culture has enacted a policy regulation that explicitly stated that teaching and learning activities are carried out from home through online learning system or full online learning system. And this full online learning system needs adjustment from all parties, including the institution, teachers, students, and also parents. And in relation to technology integration barriers, before the pandemic, I have conducted the research, and this is a part of my dissertation research. And I found that in terms of student, teacher, and institution, in this case, school, encountered barriers in relation to technology integration. And therefore, the present study is intended to evaluate the teachers' technology integration, especially during the pandemic, and viewed from the teachers' perspectives. Yeah. Okay. And those background leads me to formulate the research questions. There are two research questions. What barriers do the English teachers encounter in adopting technology for instructional activities in the context of full online in the COVID-19 pandemic? And then how do they cope with the challenges? In this case, they hear the English teachers. Yeah, however, this presentation will focus on answering the first research question. And then the research objectives to explore and explain the English teachers' barriers in adopting technology for instructional activities. And the second research objective to explore and explain the teacher's proposed solution to the barriers. And to learn about how technology use gives impacts on student learning, here I have reviewed some previous studies. The first one is that on the impacts of technology on students' English language learning. And then the second one on the impacts of online learning platform on English instructional activities. And then the third one is that focusing on technology integration barriers on English language teaching. Okay, and then here I also present the terminology that I use along in my research, that is about technology proposed by one. And then the second one is that about technology integration by Hugh and Brass. The third one is that definition of instruction. Okay, and then the next one is that about technology integration barriers. So to answer the first research question, I use the framework by Balanskat et al. 2006 that they propose in terms of technology integration barriers. There are three levels: teacher level, school level, and system level. However, in my ongoing research, as I mentioned earlier, I found that the inhibiting factors of the teacher's technology integration into TEFL classroom practices here cover four levels: student level, teacher level, school level, and system level. Okay, and based on the balanced cut framework and also my previous finding, then my present study will be viewed from these four levels: student level, teacher level, school level, and system level. Okay, and then this is the methodology. So this is a survey method, and it took place in high schools, SMP, MTS, SMA, SMK in Semarang, both Kota Semarang and Kabupaten Semarang. And I involved 46 English teachers with 1 to 35 year teaching experiences. And in terms of methods of collecting data, I use questionnaires and interviews, and to analyze the data, I use thematic analysis by Brown and Clark. Okay, so these are the findings of the first research question. So as I mentioned earlier, I focus only on the answer of the first research question in this presentation. So the teachers' technology integration barriers in terms of the student level. So based on the data analysis, I could summarize that the student level barriers here include the student's attitude. For example, demotivated student, indiscipline and ignorant, students' lack of technology devices, students' lack of the internet access. It means that they have slow internet connection, then students' lack of internet quota, students' lack of technology literacy, and also students' lack of parents' control. Okay, and then the next one, in terms of the teacher level, in the teacher level, it seems that the teachers also found or encountered some problems in the integrating technology in this pandemic. For examples here, I could find that the teachers' lack of technology literacy, teachers' age issues. So for those over 55 years old, yeah, they saying that they have problems with, yeah, using technology. And then the teachers burden longer time for preparation, longer time for giving feedback. So this is in relation to, for example, the teachers give assignments, assessment, and so on. Then teachers longer working hours, teachers lack of internet connection. Some teachers rely only on smartphones. They do not have Wi-Fi at home, for example, and also the teachers lack of control to individual students. Okay, and then the barriers at the school level. Yeah, these are what I found. Insufficient technical assistance in terms of number and competence. So most schools do not have technical assistance. And then also in need of teachers collaborations, teachers' reluctance of problem sharing about the online learning activities, lack of technology infrastructure in terms of the devices, internet connection, and then also difficulties in monitoring the students' online learning attendance. And next is that especially this one for the private schools, lack of financial and non-financial support. Okay, and then solve the in terms of the system level, I can summarize here that yeah, seems there is different perspectives between education authority, dinas, in this case dinas provinsi, dinas pendidikan provinsi, dinas pendidikan kota, kabupaten, and the school management, especially for the private schools in coping with the full online learning. And then unequal distribution of the internet quota subsidy. So some teachers mentioned that for the private schools, not all students receive the subsidy. Yeah. Okay, and then the next one is that no detailed explanation of the government policies at the school level. So it is quite difficult to translate the government policies at the school level. And then the next one is that insufficient free access learning materials provided by Dinas. So the teachers expected that Dinas provides them with a free access learning materials. Yeah. Okay, and then, oh yeah, so these are the conclusions. So online learning during the pandemic is a way out for teaching and learning goals to accomplish despite the supporting factors and that I did not mention in my presentation. The English teachers encounter problems in terms of the student, teacher, school, and system level factors. And in it, this really needs solid collaborations among educational stakeholders, the government, school management, teachers, parents, students to cope with the emerging barriers. Yeah. Okay. Well, one more slide. So my gratitude is addressed to LP2M UNES for funding this research with the scheme of fundamental research 2020. So thank you, Ibu Alif. This is the end of my presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bu Yuni, for presenting the paper. Okay, you had like 11 minutes. I think it's fine because I think the fourth group is not here. Okay, the next chance will be given to Ibu Sundari Purwaningsih to present her paper, entitled Congklak Board Game, a way to preserve local culture in grammar class. Okay, the floor is yours, Bu Sundari.
Okay. Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sebentar. Just a moment, Ibu. Wait a moment. Okay, well, thank you very much for having me. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Sundari Purwaningsi. I'm with Universitas Perjuangan Tasikmalaya. So in this occasion, I'd like to share with you one or two things about my study. So my presentation will be in 4 parts. The first one, I'd like to talk about the introduction. And then after that, I'll be explaining about the method. And then the next one, I will give you the details of the findings. And finally, I will wrap up with some conclusion. Okay, let's go with the first step. Let's go with the first stage. Well, when it comes to teaching grammar, I believe that most of us will give some kind of a mechanical practice to the students on the target language to, check their comprehension. Sometimes often we will give them, some kind of worksheets and also exercises. But I believe that if we do this like on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, it can be boring, as we know that monotonous learning activity will result in low achievement and also negative feeling in the part of the students. Okay, well, of course, in this digital era, we can always use digital learning tools to vary our teaching and learning process. However, ICT-based education is certainly not without drawbacks, okay? So one of them, as stated by Zonek and Sadiki, is that ICT-based education raises some, what do we call that, health-related issues connected to spending long periods of time working with computers, while among them are eye strain, back strain, and also lack of physical movement. Okay, well, in fact, we are actually equipped with abundant, if not overwhelming, teaching resources from books or websites to teach grammar in a much more fun way. However, since they are made or produced or created by people from other countries, somehow they fail to exhibit local culture. So take this for example, take snake and ladders and also Ludo games for example. I'm sure that most of you have already used this in your classroom teaching. Somehow they are able to adapt this kind of game in such a way that it help facilitate English teaching and learning process. So if they can be adapted as teaching media in teaching and learning of English. So I think we can do the same thing with our own traditional games like Chongklak, for example. Well, as we know, children playing Chongklak or people playing Chongklak is a rare sight to see nowadays. So if nothing is done about this, I'm sure that it is not impossible that one day this traditional game will vanish. So Sudartini opines that the underlying reasons of inserting local culture in language teaching is for the sake of national identity. Therefore, putting our thinking cap to find ways on how to integrate our local culture in our teaching is the least we can do as teacher, as a silver bullet in preserving our cultural heritage. So that is why, with this in mind, I somehow got the idea to develop Chongklak, our Chongklak game, into Chongklak board game. So the purpose of the purpose of my research is to investigate adult learners' perceptions of the use of Chongklak board game in grammar class. Okay, now let's move on to the next stage. The participants of the study is the third semester students of English Education Department of UNPER in the academic year of 2020 and 2021. And then the data collection is gathered. The data collection was gathered from a questionnaire and observation. Well, the questionnaire was developed with particular reference to students' perceptions on the physical aspects of the media, and also the impacts of the implementation of the media. And the last one is their feelings of the implementation of the media, while the observations is designed to take notes on the students' behavior while the media is implemented. So this is more or less the Chongklak board game that I developed. It consists of, as you can see here, it consists of the board, which I designed in such a way into something like this. And then I replace the seats in Chongklak into like small cards. Okay, and also I provided with the answer key, and then the table of forms, and also the teacher's note. I forgot to tell you something. Actually, the grammar point of this Chongklak board game is was it on passive voice. So the task cards here is actually a mechanical practice on what is it? Some exercises focusing on form, something like that. And then what is it again when it comes to, because I also want to connect to or integrate cultural content into this, the topic that I designed for this game is what is it, about anything made in Indonesia. So the topic is about made in Indonesia, something like that. Okay, next. So as you can see here, from the questionnaire, I can conclude that in general, the students associated the experience of learning grammar using Chongklak board games with positive pedagogical impact. And this one is some notes that I got from the observations. Some of them were able to stay on task, and then they were eager to join the activities, and then they tried hard, they interacted well with their peers, they gave feedback to each other, and the classroom atmosphere was lively. And one more important thing is that no one was distracted with their handphones. Yeah, actually, yeah, there are many research showing how important games is for teaching and learning. So the results of my finding is actually in line with some previous studies, which state that students are more apt to embrace learning grammar by playing games. And then, yeah, actually fun is not the central point of educational games, but it may be a byproduct contributing to engagement. And then games not only are fun, but are also motivating tool for learning. Okay, I will wrap it up with some conclusion. So seen from the merits gained in the learning process from the student standpoint, Chongklak board game is deemed feasible to be implemented in grammar class. And then the second one, well, I believe that the idea of using Chongklak board game to practice the grammar will also instill some kind of sense of responsibility in students to also participate in preserving the culture in their own way. Yeah, it is true that somehow in this COVID COVID-19 pandemic, we cannot use this media in classroom teaching, but somehow when we go back to teaching, when we go back to classroom teaching, teachers might find this useful or might use this as a repertoire for their teaching technique. Well, that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wow, it's a nice game. Okay, the next presenters will be Ibu Yusnita.
Yes, thank you, Bu Ali.
Ibu Sundari, maybe you can stop share screen.
Yes, wait a moment. Yes, of course. Wait, just give me some time, please.
Oh, wait, I can do that.
Bu Alif,
Okay.
what's that? The last are the last presenters here joining us?
Mm-hmm.
The last presenter.
You are?
Oh, okay.
Wait.
I
don't think I cannot stop your screen, Ibu Sundari.
Okay, let me do that because I'm still the co-host. Okay, let me do that. Wait. Okay, I'm so sorry, Bu Sundari. I have to stop your screen
Okay,
sharing.
here Bu Yusnita will present her paper entitled Examining EFL Pre-Service Teachers TPAC During Post-Pandemic Teaching. Okay, will Bu Yusnita?
Yes, thank you. Can you see my slides already? Okay, yes, let me make it into slideshow. Right. Okay, thank you, Bu Alif. Good morning, dear participants and the presenters of Breakout Room 2 for the second sessions of this today's parallel session. So allow me to present the result of my mini research on examining EFL pre-service teachers TPAC during post-pandemic teaching. This is the outline of my presentation. I will have a research background explanation for a bit, and then I move on to the theoretical framework about TPAC. And then the third one is about the methodology, and the last one is the results and discussion. So let's, okay, this is the research background. So as mentioned earlier by Ibu Sri Wahyuni and yesterday by Dr. Farjis, that today's conditions of the 21st century and the COVID-19 outbreak was that like force the education to transform and adapt its activities. One of them is about the teaching methodology and teaching strategies. Dealing with the teacher education for the 21st century and the post-pandemic condition current right now in the global, in the world, technology now is gaining its importance because, as Bu Yuni mentioned earlier, that many schools are closed, universities are, the university activities, especially the teaching, learning activities, are done from remote area, so there is no conventional face-to-face interaction. To replace that kind of activities, technology is used. And I'm also happy to to know that Ibu Sundari's presentation just now, that Bu Sundari developed one of the technology in combining, in preserving the traditional game, so that the technology can be used to teach students in the remote area, not in face-to-face meeting. And then the second reason is that pre-service teacher education plays an essential role in determining the effectiveness of technology in education, because the pre-service teacher or teachers to be are those who are going to teach their students. So actually, pre-service teacher or students of teacher training institutions should know about how and what is technology used in teaching later on. And then the third reason is that it is important for pre-service teachers to know what technological tools to use, how to properly use them, and how to make them pedagogically appropriate to the discipline. As I has just mentioned, that yes, we have to equip. I mean, the teacher training institution have to equip the pre-service teachers with those kind of competence, with those kind of knowledge about the technology in education and how to use the technology in teaching later on. Despite all of those importance that I have just mentioned, there is little known about whether the pre-service teachers can translate their gained TPAC or technological pedagogical content knowledge into their classroom practices during their micro teaching. So these are the underlying reasons why I conduct this mini research. Okay, now it is about the theoretical framework, the TPAC, the technological pedagogical content knowledge. Well, it seems that this word is very popular nowadays in the post-pandemic era. Because yes, once again, it deals with using the technology and teaching. So TPAC is a framework that introduces the relationship and the complexities between all three basic components of knowledge. It is proposed by Salman in 1960. I mean, the three basic components of knowledge is based on Salman 1987, and then Kohler, Misra in 2005, 2006, 2008, they developed TPAC. So TPAC is actually the intersection of the three knowledge types: the technology, the pedagogy, and content knowledge. Kohler and Misra proposed that the intersection of those three competences is an intuitive understanding of teaching content with appropriate pedagogical methods and technology. And then from the intersection of those three basic components of knowledge that must be gained by teachers, there are 7 domains of TPAC. Proposed by Kohler and Misra, which is also used as the underlying theoretical framework in this research. So those 7 domains include the technology knowledge, or TK, pedagogy knowledge, or PK, content knowledge, CK, technological content knowledge, TCK, technological pedagogical knowledge, TPK, pedagogical content knowledge, PCK, and above all is the TPAC, technological pedagogical content knowledge. So this figure is very popular right now nowadays. So the big the big circle, the one with color pink, blue, and light brown, is the basic 3 components: the technological knowledge, the content knowledge, the pedagogical knowledge that must be mastered and acquired by teachers or pre-service teachers. Those are proposed by Salman in 1987, but then Misra and Kohler found out the intersections of the threes. So the intersection between TK and PCK yield the technological content knowledge, and then the intersection of CK and PK yield the pedagogical content knowledge. And then the PK and TK, I mean, the intersection of the two yields in technological pedagogical knowledge. And above all, the intersection of those 6 domains yield what we call as technological pedagogical content knowledge. So in short, technological pedagogical content knowledge can be understood as teachers' knowledge of using technology with different teaching methods in accordance with subject content. Of course, it comprises under knowledges such as the technological knowledge, how teachers knowledge about how to use technology in the classroom. It also comprises the technological content knowledge or teachers' knowledge of using technology with different learning subjects and others domain, as we can see from this slide. I don't want to read about this because we can see from we can read from many literatures that are that available around us. Okay, next. So about the methodology. So the context of my study, the context of this research is at the English Education Study Program, or previously the Teacher Training Institution. For your information, at the English Education Study Program, the students or the students in this department later on are projected to be teachers. So they have got, the institution, the department have provided subjects which are categorized into language skills, linguistics, education, concerning the TEFL or TESOL, and then research methodologies. And then we have micro teaching and teaching internship, and the last one is final project. All of these subjects, all of these types of subjects are expected to give or to provide competencies that are needed by our students to be prospective teachers. And then the participants of my research, of my mini research, it is mini research because it's really like cross-sectional snapshot study. It involves 33 micro-teaching practicums. So for those who are not from English Education Study Program of UNES, micro-teaching is an activity at which pre-service teachers are expected to integrate educational theory and knowledge with the practical realities of the classroom. So micro-teaching is normally conducted at the end of the at the end of the seventh semester, or at the second semester, after the students finish or have gained all the knowledge, all the practices that are mentioned in this column, and then they have the practice of teaching in front of the lecturers and in front of their peer pre-service teachers. Before, after they have the micro teaching, they will be placed to school to do the practicum or teaching internship. So mini research focus once again on the micro teaching practicums or students who are doing the micro teaching. And then the instrument and the data analysis of my study. Yes.
Directly go to the finding.
Oh yes, thank you. The findings is like this. So this is I think I need to mention about the instrument first, so that there are the three instruments here. 4 instruments, but the most important thing is, I should highlight that for the survey, I use this survey framework by Smith, Barron, Thompson, and Kohler to identify the self-reported impact. And also this one is used for me to as the rubric for the observation of the students teaching video and interview. And then the technology integration assessment rubric by Harris et al. In 2020 is used. I use this to assess their lesson plan for the micro teaching. Okay, now let's move on the findings. This is the findings. So this is the result of the calculation of the mean and the standard deviation of the 7 elements based on the students' self-report of their belief in their TPAC. TPAC competence. And then this one is the mean score of the lesson plan assessment, the result of the lesson plan based on Harris et al. Rubric of assessment of the lesson plan. And then this is the result of the observation from their teaching. And then when we compare the self-report and their actual teaching based on the assessment, these are the results. And yes, the conclusion is that the result of self-reported data, as measured by TPAC survey, lesson plan assessment, and classroom observation, showed high scores for all domains. That's quite surprising for me. And the analysis of lesson plan documents showed a well-presented theoretical development of the EFL pre-service teachers' technology intervention skills. And then the EFL pre-service teachers' actual practice seemed to have aligned with their self-reported and their lesson plan. I'm happy to know that. And then the actual practice got closer to self-report survey data to assessing teachers' ability to apply their technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge than the lesson plan. And then the result also indicated that the teachers' lesson plans are slightly different from what they actually reflect in the classroom situation, because normally, yes, what have been planned cannot be ideally practiced in the classroom, because in classroom the situation, I mean, even though the classroom the students are their peer, their friends, but still classroom situation, teaching practices are out of somebody's control. And then the last one is all the domains of TPAC, apart from the TPK, technology pedagogical content, knowledge, reported higher scores in the FLP service teachers' actual practices as compared to their self-report. I think that's all my presentation, the result of my mini research. Thank you. And I give back to Alif. Thank you, Alif.
Thank you, Bu Yusnita, for presenting the paper. Maybe we need to call once again for the last group to present the paper. Maybe they are here. Let's check before we move on to the next agenda, that is question and answer session. But I think they're not here. Therefore, maybe we can start the question and answer session. Okay, participants, maybe if you have questions, you can ask question by typing, or maybe you can ask directly to whom your question will be addressed.
Yeah, question Bu Alif.
Bu Yuni.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. My question goes to Bu Yusnita. Hello, Bu Yus.
Okay. Hello, Bu Yuni. Yes. Hello.
Yeah, okay, very interesting mini research Bu Yusnita talking about exploring about TPAC,
Yes.
competence in relation those all domains covered in TPAC. Well, if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned in your conclusions, one of the conclusion that the lesson plans could not always be actualized or realized in the teaching and learning activities. Is it right?
Well, that's actually my interpretation. That is my interpretation of the result of,
Oh,
yeah, that's the interpretation.
mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So well, if it is one of your findings, then my next question will be, did you also explore or investigate what actually the reasons underlying that one? Yeah.
Okay, yes. Can I answer right away, Bu Alif?
Sure.
Okay, thank you for the question, Bu Yuni. So actually, the result or the conclusion is that the lesson plan was that slightly different. I mean, from the mean score and the standard deviation calculation, the lesson plan is I was said higher than the actual. The mean score is higher than the mean score of the practice. And also when I observe from the video, yes, it is the case. And from my interpretation, it seems that we have to remember that this is not in, I mean, my observation is not on in the actual classroom, actual teaching practices. It is only in the micro teaching. So I only have one spot of students practice when they had their micro teaching. They observe their video, and I may guess that the probable reasons for the incompatibility of the lesson plan to the practice in the video is that there are many. I mean, there are many reasons of this. I guess one of them is like the time limitation, because yes. In micro teaching practice, students are only limited to have their video for 7 up to 10 minutes, and delivering material, even only one KD in 7 up to 10 minutes. There will be many stages, or not many. If it is not many, some stages in the lesson plan that should be cut. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason will be, say, for example, they have, many technical things in the practice of micro teaching. Once again, it is not in a normal condition. I should have mentioned, I forgot to mention that the micro teaching happened in the pandemic season. So the micro teaching is not like what we had in a normal situation in which the students have their practice of teaching in front of the lecturers and other peer friends, fellow friends in a classroom, face-to-face meeting, but it is like they are recorded their practice in the video. So technical problems will surely influence their performance. I think that what can what I can have for the reasons, possible reasons why their lesson plans are not completely realized in their teaching practices.
Thank you, Pusnita.
Yeah, you're welcome, Bu Yuni.
Okay, we still have time. Maybe anyone here wants to ask more questions to our presenters? Because they have like 10 minutes. Yeah, because
Okay.
we don't have the last presenter.
Yeah. Can I ask question to Bu Sundari, Bu Alif?
Sure, Bu Yuni.
Yeah. Bu Sundari, are you there?
Ibu Sundari, are you there?
Okay, I'm here. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Hello, Bu Sundari.
Hello, Bu Alif. Nice to meet you.
It's Bu Yuni, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bu Yuni.
Yeah, okay, it's me, Bu Sundari. Yeah. Well, it was really interesting, Ibu, that you what is it? You designed a board game, Congklak board game, right? Yeah.
Right.
And so was it designed manually, or did you use a kind of software to design the board game?
Yeah, actually, I have to use software, Ibu. I cannot do it manually. So use, yeah, again, I still have to use the technology
Yeah,
to
yeah.
design the Congklak. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then how and if I'm not mistaken from your presentation, you mentioned that it can be used in the context of face-to-face instructional activities, and you cannot use this online. Yeah, am I right?
Right.
Okay, and then
That's
if,
right, Ibu. That's right.
okay, so then my next question is that why didn't you design this game for online game, for example? So
Well,
that
actually, that is my next research, Ibu. Actually,
Mhm.
that's been on one of the list of my future research. Actually, something
Okay.
like that.
Yeah, so you will continue your research developing the manual
Right.
Congklak game to the digital one or online
Right.
game. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Good luck, Ibu. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Ibu. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Bu Alif.
You're welcome, ma'am. So when it is online, then it will be like a board game, yeah.
Right.
Okay. Any other question?
Can I have question to Bu Sundari?
Oh, please.
Yes, Ibu.
Presenter.
It seems that presenters are asking each other.
Yeah, that's right.
I can also address questions to Ibu moderator.
Oh yeah, okay.
Moderator is not available.
Bu Sundari, well yes, I'm
Yeah.
also interested in the result of your, your presentation, and especially when I know that it is the result of your, research and development project. Yeah, Bu Sundaria. Okay, so okay, maybe I missed something from your presentation, but I really wanted to know: have you checked? When you have this kind of board game for Tongkla, have you check the validity and the reliability of what is it? I'm not so sure whether validity and reliability are the correct term, but have you checked about this kind of trustworthiness of the product? Mind me
Oh
for
yeah. Actually, I didn't mention. Yeah, actually, I didn't mention it in my presentation, Ibu. But
Okay.
of course, before I implemented it to the students, I had some colleagues like yes, my colleague have also designed some teaching media before. So in terms of the teaching media, I asked for her help to check the validity. And in the terms of the content, I asked for, since it is about teaching grammar, then for the content I asked for another colleague of mine who also teaches grammar to some kind of check the validity of the content.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
actually, I provided, of course, I provided the questionnaire and etc. and etc.
yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
So you have, I mean, my next question, sorry. This Congklak
Sorry.
board game has been tested and has been used. I mean, not only tested, but you have used this Congklak board game to teach your students. Have you or haven't
Excuse
you?
me, I'm so sorry.
Okay, have you used or
Well,
maybe?
I have.
Okay, it's not only testing but used for teaching, right? Have you? I mean, you have used this Congklak board games for teaching.
Yes, I have.
And
I have. Yeah,
other
of course.
lecturers as well. I mean, it's not only for testing but for use to teach. Have you? I mean, has your research I mean come to that stage? I mean, being
Oh,
not
not
only.
yet actually.
Oh, not yet. Okay.
Not yet. Yes, I only implemented it to my class. That's it. So it's only
Mm.
on that one circle, that small circle.
Oh, okay. I'm asking you this question because I want to know, like, the response from the students. It is interesting, especially when you relate that this Congklak board game to teach grammar. As we know that grammar learning for EFL are not that kind of what's that like? Apa ya istilahnya ya? That's not an easy thing to do. So we know some research also
Yes.
said that teaching grammar through game is what's that like? In some studies, teaching grammar through games are considered to have a better result to the students, maybe because the students feel relaxed or something. So that's why I want to know further about the use of your Congklak board game here. Can this Congklak board game can your I mean this Congklak board game be used to teach grammar at any level, say for example, teaching grammar at any level?
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, I believe that we can always modify the Congklak board game to teach another level, like lower level or maybe higher level. It depends on the content, Ibu. Somehow we have to go back to the content.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Maybe I have to check in detail your Congklak board games. Yes, okay. Thank you, Bu
Yes, of course.
Sundari.
Yeah,
It's very
sure.
interesting.
Thank you,
Yes.
Ibu.
Yeah. Thank you, Bu Alif.
You're
Thank you, Ibu.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Anyone here wants to ask more questions? We still have time. Okay. No more questions? Okay, if there is no more thing to be discussed in this parallel session room, maybe I would like to end this parallel session session, that is parallel session 3. Thank you for the 3 presenters for presenting the paper. Hope that you can finish your paper soon because you have the deadline for the paper next week. Okay, and to announce you that this is the end of parallel session 3 and you will have the next parallel session 4 at 11:15. So maybe because it's still 11, maybe you can have like a short break before you join the next parallel session. Okay, thank you for joining us. See you again next time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Ibu.
Wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much.
Alif.
Bu Yuni, halo. Bu Yuni, Ibu mendengar suara saya? Bu Yuni. Halo.
Saya dengar Bu Yus.
Ya jawab kok malah Bu Galuh. Halo Bu Galuh, apa kabar Bu?
Baik Bu Yus.
Kita malah ketemunya di para session room 2 ini. Sudah lama saya nggak ketemu Bu Galuh.
Lewat Maya ya Bu.
Iya. Bu Yuni mana ya? Saya WA juga nggak di... Saya WA juga belum dibaca.
Redaktornya Bu Yus ini.
After this should be Bu Yuni, makanya ini saya cari-cari.
Oh,
Saya
I see.
saya WA kok juga tidak dibaca. Mungkin baru ke toilet.
Iya mungkin.
Bu Galuh presentasi habis ini.
Enggak. Jadi pendengar saja Bu Yus.
Oh, okay, right.
Bu Galuh,
Oke.
papernya di ruang apa? Bu Galuh.
Stay aja di sini.
Enggak, papernya Bu Galuh di mana?
Di room 1 saya barusan cek loh. Gitu.
Di room 1 sudah ada presenternya Bu Alif. Jadi saya di ruang 2 saja.
Yes.
Wah, tadi saya berarti diamati oleh Bu Galuh. Waduh, saya nggak tahu, Bu.
You did well, Bu.
Aduh. Ini mohon maaf ya Bapak Ibu yang lain yang non-English Department of UNES. Ada nggak sih yang non-English Department? Kita enggak ada.
Kalau non-UNES banyak kayaknya.
Enggak yang di ruangan ini kok. Itu
I'm not an English
berarti
department of UNES, but I used to be your students.
yeah, I know that. I mean, I
Nita
want to
student,
yes.
Mrs. Galuh student.
I was going to set up. I think all of this name in this breakout room too are familiar to me, even though they are not undergrad students. But I mean, the names are familiar. Okay. Tapi sekarang S2 ya?
I'm in doctoral
in
program with you, Bu Yusnita.
See?
We take some classes together.
Okay, stop
this
saying
semester.
that. Okay, stop
Oh
saying
yeah,
that,
okay.
please.
Sorry.
Because
Sorry.
Galuh is here.
Sorry.
Okay, right.
Sorry.
No. Just kidding. Right. Nggak apa-apa ini memang UNES
Kalau sama
semua.
mahasiswa nggak apa-apa lah Bu Yus.
Iya, makanya saya kan takut sama mahasiswa ini Bu sama Bu Galuh. Sama mahasiswa dilarang ini ya Bu. Right. Bu Yuni, are you there? Hello?
Ya, Ma'am.
Finally.
Halo.
Yes, please check your WhatsApp, please.
Oh ya, I will.
Yes,
Sorry.
thank you.
Tapi sarapan dulu, Bu.
Iya kan, benar kan dugaan kita. Nggak nyampe loh.
Jam 11.15.
Okay, is that okay, ma'am?
Ya, oke.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Terus yang mau membantu siapa, Ibu?
Membantu apa ini?
Membantu untuk meng-assign menjadi supaya bisa share screen itu?
Oh,
nanti ada.
Enggak apa-apa. Sudah bisa semua sendiri. Otomatis.
Oh, oke, sip.
Yes. Right.
Siap.
Okay, thank you Bu Yuni. So I will mute my microphone then. Thank you.
Oke, ya. Start at 11:15 ya. Selamat siang, good morning, Bapak Ibu.
Selamat siang, Bu Yuni.
Halo Ibu Galuh.
Good morning, Bu Yuni.
Ya Ibu. Okay, so it is already 11:15, Bapak Ibu. And we are now in parallel session 4 and session 11:15 up to 20:15. And in this breakout room 2, we have Ibu Ratih Laili Nurjana. Yeah, okay. So Ibu Ratih Lali already here. And then the next one is that Ibu Bunga Febriani, Ibu Dwi Rukmini, Prof. Yan, and Prof. Isi. Okay, so who will represent this group? Ibu Bunga, Ibu Dwi Rukmini, Prof. Yan, and then Prof. Isi. Okay, not yet here. Then the next one will be Pak Hendi Pratama, and Ibu Widya Amalia. Okay, I think that Ibu Widya is already here, Mbak Widya. And then the next one, the last presenter of this session will be Bu Diajeng Putri Maharani.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I'm here.
ready. Okay, so 3 presenters are already here, and then we will start soon this session. So let me invite Ibu Ratih Laili. Yeah, okay, so you can start your presentation now, Bu Ratih Laili. Time is yours. You have 10 minutes for the presentation, and then later on, after all presenters have presented the paper, we will have the next session for the Q&A. Yeah, okay, time is yours, Bu Ratih.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me share my screen first. Okay, does it work?
It's very clear, Ibu Laili.
Okay, thank you very much. So today I will present my paper entitled madecat.com. Why is it worth to try? I'm Ratih Laili Nurjana. I'm from Universitas Ngadiwaluyo. So the background of my study here is about the development of technologies nowadays, where it clearly influences the translation method and teaching and learning process. So where it leads to the development of translation devices here, where we have CAT, computer assisted tools, and also machine translation. Based on some literature, I found that actually student translators have positive perception on translation technology. It means that we as lecturers, we are responsible for introducing students to the development of technology around us, because sometimes students think that translating is quite difficult and takes time because they have to type the words per words. And while they also know that using even Google translators doesn't really help, because they still have to work with the format of the file and so on. And the second is stated by Mafula et al. That using CAT is considered useful in translation class. Here I present a table that are presenting the differences between human translation, machine translation, and computer-assisted translation tool. I think one of the best one to be used by students is the computer-assisted translation tool, since it is a blending of human efforts and technology with high level of accuracy, where it can also translate based on the context. And of course, there are many free computer-assisted translation tools that are available nowadays. Here, I want to introduce, or I want to discuss the one that I introduced to my students. It is madecat.com. It is one of the CAT tool. So here, this is the layout of the home page of the MateCat, where you can or translator can drop their files here, and then they can give name to their projects because they may have some projects to work with, and you can choose the language here. And this is the part when you can use the fields of your translation work, whether it is law or agriculture or even what is that, like geology or biology. And if you are not sure, you can choose the general type. Okay, and this is the layout after the files is uploaded. So the text will be parted into segments like this, so it is easier for the translators or for students to work with. Pengambilan sampel, the sampling is done like that. This is the first language, this is the target language. And then translator can monitor their work here, how many words they have to do more, and then how many percent of the work. And if they want to leave this work or for temporary, they can, the MedCat will save it automatically, so the translator can be back to their work whenever they want. The procedures that, so this is the descriptive qualitative study, and also involving surveys, because here I distributed questionnaires to the students and related to their perspectives on using MateCat. So first I introduced them to MateCat.com, and then we work together, we learn together how to use it, and then they will, and I distributed a questionnaire for them to assess the MateCat, and then I analyzed the results of the questionnaires, and then we conclude together. So we found that there are some strengths that we found in using MateCat. The first one is it specializes our fields of work, so we can choose which topics or which fields that we are working with. And then the text is parted into segments, so it is easier for us to work with. It can record our process of translation. It works with various types of files, whether your file is PDF or PowerPoint. You can just directly upload it to MateCat. And then MateCat also have some options related to the type of files that you want to produce, whether you want to have your your file in PDF or PowerPoint and so. And it doesn't change the format or the layout of your original file. So if your original file is in form of 1.5 spaced with indent, so the products will be the same. And of course, it is free account, so students can use it anytime. The weakness that we found here is one of them is the internet dependency. So it must work with the internet. And the second is proofread. Well, proofread can be a weakness for those who needs who cannot work with translation. I mean, if he can't use English, uh, he cannot just use MateCat directly because it needs proofread in the process. So when we talk about computer-assisted technology, actually it can be very useful in teaching translation. I mean, as to introduce the students to the development of technology around them, and we show them that using CAT is actually beneficial because they can work faster. But of course, since it needs proofread, it also involves their knowledge on translation. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ibu Ratih, for the presentation. And you spent only 7 minutes to present your paper. Yeah, thank you. Okay, and well, I would like to invite the next presenter, Ibu Bunga Febriani. Ibu Bunga Febriani, are you here? Okay, it seems that she is not here yet, then I think that we are going to invite the next presenter who is already here, Ibu Widya Amalia. Ibu Widya Amalia?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So you have 10 minutes to present your paper, Ibu Widya. Start from now. Time is yours.
Okay, wait. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sure. Very clear.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning for uh, Mrs. Yuni as the moderator. Today, I would like to present Mr. Hendy and my writings entitled Reflecting on Teaching Pragmatics for Graduate Students. Nowadays, we can see that pragmatic is study of languages used by speakers and speech partners to convey intention in a conversational based on the context. But most language learners are not learning language as communication, but they only use the theory, they only learn about the theory. So pragmatics deal with language in use and the context in which it's used. And pragmatics, according to Pratama 2019, investigates meaning that is bound to the context underlying the use of the language in communication. The next is teaching pragmatics means considering the relationship between the variety of speakers and many social factors which come up with the dynamic growth of the language itself. So in this research, we focus on how the combination between the academic and their implementation on their daily basis and their daily communication. This research was done under three research questions. The first is to what extent postgraduate students' understanding about pragmatics after having the course for a semester. And second of all, to what extent pragmatics course affect postgraduate students' learning process or the way they teach English towards their students. And the third is to what extent pragmatics course affects postgraduate students' daily communication. This research focuses on speech, acts, implicature, and politeness. And these three aspects were taught in our pragmatic class. So according to Austin, speech act are the speaker's utterance which convey meaning and make listeners do specific things. So when the listener got the meaning, got the implicature, they can do what the speakers want to do. And the next is about the implicature itself. Implicature is a component of a speaker, which is an aspect of what is meant without having to be part of what it said, according to Hart and Ward 2004. And the next is about politeness. Politeness is minimizing the negative effects that can be caused by a person against others, at the same time trying to maximize positive effects, according to Cruz 2004. And the methodology itself, we did this research under qualitative research by using online questionnaire as the primary data collection, and there are 6 questions for the students, and it is given to 70 graduate students of Universitas Negeri Semarang. They are the master students, and they did the questionnaire and they answer based on their experience after having pragmatic class. The next is about the findings. This is for the first question. The finding shows us that there are 44 students who are able to define pragmatic based on their understanding. So they can totally understand and they try to redefine based on their understanding. And we give the example, the quote is students number 18. He defined pragmatic as a linguistic study that studies how linguistic units are used in communication. And she can give the real example of how they can use it as their daily communication, in their daily communication, and they can give the proper example. And the next is there are 23 students who are able to redefine pragmatic in detail and systematically in a proper order, and but they what is it like they find a bit difficulty to give the proper example. And the next is less understanding. The category is less understanding. So there are only 6 students who cannot redefine properly, but they can mention the example. So they can mention what belongs to speech act, what is the example of implicature, and how to get the implicature itself. And this is for the first what is it? How they they find that the respondent find that as an English learner, why they need pragmatics. The respondents answer that mastering pragmatics has a positive impact on understanding English material because the respondents feel they are able to understand the literal and non-literal meaning while the lecturer give the material, while the lecturer delivering the materials. And it also improves their interpersonal skills not only on academically, I mean in the theory, but they can produce it as their own utterance. And it is proven that they are able to understand the implied meaning of the speech partners and were able to implement politeness. As what students number 12 state, memahami ilmu pragmatik tidak hanya memahami sebagai bahasa yang saya pelajari, tetapi juga memahami dan mengerti lebih jauh tentang konteks socio-cultural dari bahasa yang saya pelajari, bahwa dalam berinteraksi dan membangun hubungan dengan orang lain melalui bahasa, ada banyak hal yang harus saya perhatikan dan perhitungkan. That is what the student number 12 said. And as a teacher, why this pragmatics is beneficial, essential when they are the teacher, because some of master students are teachers. So as teacher, they are quite selective on choosing a proper language when they are delivering the material toward the students, because they try to understand how their situation, how their student situation, and the gap, the distance, and the power that is different, quite different between them. Like what students number 17 said, in my opinion, the field of pragmatics give me a very large scope dealing with communication. As student, I became interested and enlightened to study on how people make meaning in their utterance. As an English teacher, I become more aware the power of meanings I will use when interacting with my students, or instead I could raise my students' awareness to communicate wisely, particularly in the use of social media. And the next is about is how the students, how the respondents try to figure out how they can use quite selective on choosing a proper language when they are delivering the materials to their students. Because as what student 44 said, it seemed to me that learning pragmatic is a pivotal thing to understand people utterance. We can know their explicit and implicit meaning. We can be more sensitive, respectful, and understand each other. Moreover, the use of pragmatics theory assists us in using a language appropriately based on the context. Learning pragmatics greatly help us to consider the speaker's attention or meaning, so we can take action as their expectation or review something using an appropriate meaning. So if we want to review it, we can use how the politeness strategy should be applied there. And in conclusion, we conclude that there are three then why the pragmatics need for a master degree students. First, pragmatics help to analyze the phenomena around them. Second, it is essential for students and teachers' role. They can know their position. They can know why I use this language and why should I use this language. For example, there is a bit different between their roles. And it is just to increase social awareness, because nowadays we do not even care about that. We only think that I have those power. I can say whatever I want, but they don't even think what people feel. for example, because I am powerful. They don't even think, well, why I should be there, for example, like that. Why I should say this just because of me, because, for example, like that. And after all, fostering pragmatics competence in language teaching should be done gradually, since learning pragmatics is not only about acquiring a new language competence, but also learning its implementation in different contexts and level of intercommunication. That's all my presentation. Thank you for the time, and I give the screen back to Mrs. Yuni. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bu Widya, for the presentation on pragmatics. And now I would like to invite the next presenter, that is Ibu Dia Jeng Putri Maharani. Mbak Dia?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, time is yours, Mbak Dia.
Okay, thank you for the time, ma'am. So, okay, I will share the screen. Okay. Okay, thank you for the time, ma'am, Yuni. Okay. Now I would like to present about my paper about critical thinking and its contribution to academic writing competence. Okay. This is the introduction of my paper, the discussion between critical thinking skills in higher educations of learning becomes an important topic of discussions. According to Karakov, 2016, because of the way the world is moving, there is a need to make sure learners are able to think critically. And it is hoped now that employers who can think critically are able to solve problems on their own and make informed choice about the work and personal issues. Okay. Based on my teaching experience, when I asked them, the students, why they couldn't write English well, was because of the many complicated components of writing that should be taken into consideration, such as the appropriate diction, grammar, and then the punctuation, sentence structure, and then the coherence and the cohesion, especially on coherence and cohesion, because we need experiences and critical thinking from any sources of writing, to make sentence easy to understand and connect each sentence and paragraph. Okay, this is the cycle of thinking and writing, adapted from Rahmat. Okay. The first stage is beginning in writing. Okay, and then read. The second is read information. Third is use critical thinking skills to make decisions. Write draft, and then evaluate by reading critically. Okay. Because the good writing involves proper planning. This planning involves reading for information. And then this reading stage use critical thinking skill to make decisions on the content of the article, and then the usefulness of the content, as well as how the content fits into the writer's needs. And then on the final stage is the writer needs to evaluate his or her own draft by reading critically to improve on the final. Okay. Okay, the research methodology. Okay, on this study, I employed pre-test, post-test, experimental design, and then 2 classes of undergraduate students of State University of Semarang were taken as samples, each of which consists of 30 students. So the total number of sample is 60 students. The first class is low critical thinking, and then the second class is high critical thinking. So I determine the classes by using the questionnaires. Okay, and then, okay, I will explain later. Okay, because I use the SPSS, version 20, so there will be lots of numbers, so I will not show. I will sum up the numbers into sentence. Yeah. Okay, this is yeah. As you can see here, the numbers. It is the class with the low critical thinking. The next. Yeah. This is the mean and maximum score of post-test were lower than pre-test. Yeah. It can be concluded that the inductive strategy had a good influence in spite of the range scores was higher than pre-test. This is the mean and maximum score of post-test were lower than pre-test. Yeah. It can be concluded that the inductive strategy had a good influence in spite of the range score was higher than pre-test. Okay, as you can see the numbers here. Okay. Further looking at the table showing the interaction effect, it can be interpreted that the inductive class, the group of students with high critical thinking, are scored higher than their peers with low critical thinking. It was found that students with high critical thinking obtained 68. Yeah, students with low critical thinking obtained 36. Yeah. Okay. We will go on the conclusion. Okay. The conclusion, we can see from the statistic that the results indicates that the students with high critical thinking improve better than those students with low critical thinking. And the inductive deductive strategy was more effective. Yeah. So we can use inductive deductive strategy to teach academic writing. Or we can say combination, yeah, between two strategies. Okay, I think that's all for my presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Mbak Dia, for that very brief presentation.
Yeah.
Well, so let me double check whether the second presenter, Ibu Bunga Febriani, is already present. Are you here, Ibu Bunga? Then in team with Prof. Vivi, Prof. Yan, and Prof. Isi. Okay. Bunga, Ibu Bunga Febriani. It seems that she is not here yet with the team. Yeah, okay, so the presenters Ibu Ratih Laili, and then Ibu Widya and Ibu Diajeng. Now we come to the QA session. So we still have lots of time to go up to 12:15. Then let's discuss what we have presented previously. So from Ibu Ibu Ratih, ya. Okay, so Ibu Ratih was talking about the use of CAT. Yeah, let me check. Okay, so Ibu Ratih was talking about medcat.com. Why is it worth to try? So she talked about the use of software used for assisting the students to in translation classes. Okay, and then the next one from Mbak Vidya. Yeah, you're talking about pragmatics, reflecting on teaching pragmatics, so focusing on the students' understanding of what pragmatics is. Yeah. And then the last one from Mbak Dea, she is presenting about critical thinking and its contribution to academic writing competence. Okay, so any questions from the floor to the presenters? Yeah, thank you. There is comment. Nice presentation, Mbak Dia, from Norsi and Alfred. Yeah.
Ma'am, can
Yeah,
I
okay.
ask for Bu Ratih atau Mbak Ratih ya, mohon maaf. Yeah, I'm a little bit curious about the apps itself. Like, I think as language learners or academic or something, we do need that because we try to, what is it, like try to be productive and write as much as article that we can, as many as articles. So based on your presentation, there's some weakness that you have said before. Can you maybe tell us more about how this app will be more beneficial if we can use it, or can you, what is it, like baking up the weakness and how we can get the app, or do you have any plan to make it more commercial or something? I think it's interesting.
Well, okay, thank you very much, Mbak Widya. Can I answer it?
Yes, you can just directly
Okay.
answer, Mbak Ratu.
Okay. Actually, it is not an app, Mbak Widya. You can access it through makecat.com and log in for free. So you can use it every time you need to use it. I think the only weakness that is quite disturbing here is because it's dependency on the internet. Yeah. So if you don't have any internet connection, you cannot work with this website. Gitu. And I think for students, for English students especially, it will be very useful because more or less it will help them to practice their ability to in translation, because like what I showed in my slide, can I show my slide again, or
Yeah, sure, I think so. But
okay,
yeah.
yeah. Here, nah, like this one is the first language. Pengambilan sampel dilakukan dengan metode survey sampling, for example, and the target language, the sampling is done by survey sampling method. As student, they can learn to analyze the error or the weakness of the sentence easier, and it is easier for them because they don't need to type the word per word again, but they just need to observe the sentence produced by the MathCat, like that. It will be very easy. It will be very useful also for the students who, usually they have side job as a translator for articles, right? It can count the words produced in the article precisely, so it's easier for them to to set the price, like that. Some of my students use it to help them work with translation, for example, the other person's article, and it also have high validity because it matches with the field of text.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Ask for
answer.
Uni. Yeah, okay, thank you, Mbak Widya and Mbak Laili. Any more questions, Bapak Ibu?
Ask for Uni.
Oh yeah, sure, Bu Galo, please do.
Okay, because it's still to Mbak Ratih.
Yeah.
So actually, it's almost the same question with Mbak Widya, sorry. That have you tried to compare the use of this? If you do not call it as an application, so have you tried to compare it, the result of the translation of the what is it, Medcat, and also maybe other application like Google Translator?
Yes, I
About
have.
the accuracy.
Yeah, I have Google. For the accuracy, I think, in my opinion, Medcat is more accurate because apa ya? So when the target language is produced, there are very little number of error that occur or produced by Medcat, and the other strengths or the other aspect that makes it more useful is because Medcat will produce your text as the original file. So you don't need to work with any formatting or paragraph, like it will not change the original format of your file. So once it is produced, you can just use it like that. And you can choose your own preference for types of files, whether you want it to be produced in PDF or PowerPoint.
So you said that it can translate not only in form of paragraphs, but also in forms of essay directly?
Yeah,
yes.
PowerPoint also. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, so actually in what kind of subject that you suggest for the teachers to use it? I mean, you know that if we suggest them to use in translation classes, for example, I believe that the students will have. I don't think the students will improve their ability in translating, because they just easier to use the
analyze. Yeah.
So what kind of subjects or classes that you suggest to use it?
I used once it in my grammar class because like when you translate the bahasa Indonesia to English, for example, you have to match it like apakah dalam bentuk aktif or passive, whether the sentence shown when it is conducted. For example, when we talk about the method, usually we use the past tense, and for the introduction we use the present tense, kind of that. I used once it in my grammar class. Yeah.
Not translation classes. Okay.
Yeah, just to show them actually that there is another more helpful beside the Google Translate.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. May I have question to Mbak Widya, Bu Yuni?
Yeah, sure, Bu Kalo. You can just directly address your questions. Yeah, please do.
Okay, Mbak Widya, it is very interesting to talk about pragmatics, yeah. And in your presentation, you talk about reflecting on teaching pragmatics. It seems that it's only a reflection of teaching pragmatics in graduate students, ya. Benar ya, Mbak Widya ya? The questionnaire is for the graduate students, right? Okay, and then if I'm not mistaken, the graduate students, maybe some of the graduate students are also teachers from the secondary students, right? So didn't you ask them, because you're talking about the implication of teaching pragmatics, the implementation of pragmatics in teaching, right?
Yes.
So is there any question of asking the participants about how to teach pragmatics in the secondary students?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for the question.
Mhm.
So in our questionnaire, in question number 5, we asked them on how this pragmatic useful for them as a students and for the teacher. And the best thing is they answer it, for example, like this. uh, Mr. Handy, I will tell my students, it is from elementary school, what is pragmatic, but based on their understanding, based on their language, because it deals with socials, it deals with socio-cultural. So what is it, they said that they want to um, simplified the language what is pragmatic for their students. So there is a question for them in number 5 in my questionnaire, so they can try to teach pragmatics implicitly for their students, for example, about the politeness, about how they catch the implicature, both for academic purpose or for their daily communication, something like that, ma'am.
Thank you, Mbak Widya.
Okay.
So it
Yes.
seems that you have already asked the the students who teaches secondary schools.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm
Elementary
curious.
and junior high school, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the data, something like that.
Thank you, Mbak Widya. Thank you, Bu Yuni.
Yeah. Okay, Bu Carlo, thank you. Mbak Widya, thank you. Okay, and from the chat room, there is a question from Mbak Dea. Yeah, Mbak Dea, will you
Oh, yes.
will you directly mention your question?
Okay, Mbak Rati, hello. Nice to see you here. Okay.
Nice to see you here.
I want to ask you about does the app work for the idiomatic expressions?
Yeah, actually, because it's still based on the database, yeah, there are some idiomatic expression that cannot be translated perfectly. So sometimes that's when the proofread session needed, because we still have to check whether it is translated perfectly or not, like that. Because yeah, there are some idiomatic expressions that are not translated perfectly.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Mbak Rati.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mbak Dea.
Yeah, Mbak Dea.
From the question and answer. And I think that we still have 15, okay, 17 minutes left in this session. Okay, any more questions, Bapak Ibu? Yeah, any more questions addressed to Mbak Rate, Mbak Widya, and also Mbak Dea? Yeah, it seems that there is no more questions. Yeah, so if there is no more questions to discuss in this session, then I think that we are going to close this session. And for your information, Bapak Ibu, beginning from now, well, actually 12:15 later, up to 1:05, we will have our lunch break and to prepare for the plenary session. And we would like to invite you to join the plenary session, and it will be at 1:05 up to 2:05. Yeah, we will have the plenary session 5 with Rakesh Banot, and he would like to talk about learning from mistakes from Dito to Dito. Yeah. Okay, so once again, let me inform you, Bapak Ibu, that we will have plenary session 5 at 1:05 up to 2:05. Yeah. Okay, so thank you Bapak Ibu for joining this session. Is there anything that Bu Yusnita will add?
No, thank you, Bu Yuni. That's enough. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So I think that is all, Bapak Ibu, for this session. Thank you very much again for joining this session. Have a nice day. See you on the plenary session.
Thank you very
Assalamualaikum
much.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you, Bu
See you at
Yuni.
the planet
Thank you so
plenary
much.
session, everyone.
Yeah, see you at the next session.
Sebentar, sebentar.